Hi, welcome to Coaster Mania. I'm Micah, and today I'm going to be ranking the rides at Knott's Berry Farm. Knott's is California's oldest still operating amusement park and holds a lot of history within its borders. What started as a fried chicken dinner restaurant quickly expanded into a fully fledged theme park with coasters, shows, and other attractions. In my opinion, Knott's is one of the more well-rounded parks in the state of California. It has theming, it has good thrill rides, and an overall great atmosphere. More on that later. Let's go ahead and rank the rides from worst to best. Number 10, Timberline Twister. Timberline Twister is our first victim, the small kiddie coaster of the park. Just about every park has one, and it's a big toss-up as to whether or not Katie and I have ridden it. We haven't ridden this one. Timberline Twister is a Bradley and Kaye kiddie coaster that opened in 1983. It is 480 feet long and 30 feet tall. One interesting fact about this ride is that it is operated with a manual handbrake. Other than that, there's not much else to say. You go up, around, through janky airtime hills, then come back around. Maybe someday one of these will be a bit higher in the list for some park. Just kidding. Number 9, Pony Express. Pony Express is a Zamperla moto coaster that was mistakenly opened in 2008. I think somebody accidentally dropped this off in the parking lot of Knott's, and the maintenance crew thought it was for them to install. It's okay though, mistakes happen and they can always be corrected. This coaster is 1,250 feet long, 44 feet tall, and has a max speed of 38 miles per hour. The layout of this is like a large version of a kiddie coaster. You launch forward and go around the oval-shaped course. The restraints on this were uncomfortable as they squeezed Katie and I way too hard and didn't give us any room to move around or breathe. I've always seen these moto coasters and hoped for the best with them, but this ain't it, Chief. Maybe Knott's can correct their mistake and use part of this land for the B&M Giga we all know they're totally gonna get one day. Number 8, Ghostrider. As if we weren't beat up enough on Pony Express, Ghostrider comes along and tries to finish us off. This Mack ride's Wilde Mouse was opened in 2013 and is 1,339 feet long and 52 feet tall. Due to an accident that happened in 2014, shin guards were added to the restraints on this coaster, and ever since, the ride experience has not been enjoyable. The shin guards constantly dig into your legs the entire course of the ride. I get why they did it, but this seriously hurts. I'd only recommend riding this coaster once to get the credit, then move on to the next. Number 7, Jaguar. Jaguar is the monorail of Knott's. It was opened in 1995 and is a Zierer Tivoli model. It is 2,602 feet long, 65 feet tall, and has a top speed of 35 miles per hour. This coaster feels like it cruises around just about everywhere. It is pretty much above something throughout the entire layout, be it path or other rides. This coaster prowls around under Silver Bullet, through the loop of Montezoomas, and right next to Sierra Sidewinder. The trains on this coaster are really not very accommodating. They're more meant for short people and children. And I'm not all that tall, and even my legs were too long to comfortably fit in this ride. It does get some decent views around the small part of the park it goes through, but doesn't really do much. This coaster also does a really good job at announcing its presence with how loud it is. Number 6, Montezooma's Revenge. Montezooma's Revenge was a Schwarzkopf shuttle loop that is currently undergoing some renovations. It was originally opened in 1978 and had 800 feet of track, was 148 feet tall, and had a top speed of 55 miles per hour. If you're like us and got a chance to ride this ride, you'll agree that the loop on this coaster was extremely forceful. I don't know what it exactly is, but Schwarzkopf loops always are incredibly forceful. The flywheel launch on this coaster provided solid acceleration, and the experience of this ride overall was pretty good. Shame that it was broken down all the time. I'm very curious to see what Cedar Fair has planned for this coaster. Number 5, Sierra Sidewinder. This not a family coaster is a Mack ride spinning coaster that was opened in 2007. It is 1,505 feet long, 64 feet tall, and has a top speed of 36 miles per hour. This coaster really tends to sneak up on you, especially on the low to the ground helixes. If you get lucky and are sitting in a car that is facing downwards during those parts, you'll feel a unique sensation in which it seems like you could almost reach out and scrape the ground in front of you as you fly past it. At its peak, you'll experience an impressive 3.3 Gs of positive force. This coaster really treads the line of being a family coaster. The spinning aspect of this ride really makes it what it is, and I'd love to see more of these coasters pop up at other parks around the country. Number 4, Hangtime. Hangtime is a Gerstlauer Infinity coaster that was opened in 2018. The fact that this ride fits on the same plot of land as what used to be an Aero corkscrew, then a Vekoma boomerang, is mind-boggling. It is 2,198 feet long, 150 feet tall, and goes 57 miles per hour. This coaster has a slightly beyond vertical drop, which is a major crowd pleaser, especially with the holding system that hangs you near the edge for a few seconds before suddenly releasing you. This ride has good forces throughout and is a very good addition to the park. The small drop before the final Cobra roll does also provide a surprising pop of ejector airtime on a good day. For a lot of people in California, this is a very unique coaster to have, and this is also something I'd like to see in more of the Cedar Fair chain. This coaster does have one glaring flaw about it though, the roughness. For some odd reason, sitting in anything but the front row guarantees that you're going to feel some rattle throughout the course of the ride. This is apparently a common problem I've heard on Gerstlauers, and I'm honestly intrigued as to what could cause something like this. All in all though, this coaster does provide for an intense and exciting experience. Number 3. Accelerator. Unfortunately, Katie and I didn't get the chance to ride this together. I personally did get the chance to ride it back in 2019 though, so I am basing my experience off of that visit. Accelerator is the park's only true hypercoaster, being 205 feet tall. It was opened in 2002 and replaced the embarrassing failure that was Windjammer Surf Racers. This intimate accelerator coaster has an intense launch at 82 miles per hour and is 2,202 feet long. Ask anyone and you'll hear that the launch on this coaster is incredibly intense. It's not the fastest out there, but it accelerates more quickly than many other launch coasters out there. The other great thing about this ride is the top hat. Once you crest the top of it, you get flung out of your seat as you go straight down into a twisting drop at a 90-degree angle. The rest of this ride has you navigating two large overbank hills which are reminiscent of those found on Millennium Forest at Cedar Point. Those two turns are rather forgettable, and the duration of the ride is very short, but arguably provides a more rounded experience than rides like Top Thrill Dragster. Number 2. Silver Bullet. This is a bit of a controversial one, but Silver Bullet is our second favorite ride at Knott's. Silver Bullet is a B&M inverted coaster that opened in 2004. It is 3,125 feet long, 146 feet tall, and has a top speed of 55 miles per hour. The first drop on this coaster is definitely its weakest aspect. Really, the reason for this is the fact that it has to be able to clear over Jaguar. Other than that, this coaster is a bit different from other B&M inverts in that it doesn't have the intensity that many others do. Regardless of this fact, however, Silver Bullet makes for a very enjoyable experience. It gracefully flies through its 6 inversions and, similarly to Jaguar, goes through and above a relatively wide area of the park. This coaster feels like something that you would make in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 when your park is running out of space. It is above path or buildings through most of its layout. The final helix above the water does provide for a surprising dose of positive Gs as you do fly right above the water. Make sure to also kind of keep an eye on things because you may end up pretty dizzy after it too, I've found. Number 1. Ghostrider. These ride ranking videos are kind of making themselves. Of course Ghostrider is number 1. It's the longest coaster in the park at a surprising 4,533 feet. This coaster was originally built by CCI in 1998 and is 118 feet tall and has a top speed of 56 miles per hour. In 2016, this coaster received a much needed renovation by GCI that reprofiled some of the track and added new Millennium Flyer trains. This coaster packs a lot in its long layout. There's tons of airtime, strong laterals, near-miss elements everywhere. There is a lot of good to say about this ride. Ghostrider does fit the bill of being an elite coaster, which is why it currently sits within our top 10 overall coasters. I feel like the coaster community tends to not talk about this one, which makes sense based on the fact that a lot of the community is located on the East Coast. They can be forgiven for living there though. Ghostrider is good in almost all rows, but if you get the chance to ride it at night, make sure to go for the front seat. The experience of diving through the ride's support structure with only running lights beside you is unlike anything else I've ever experienced. Back row rides are especially good for providing even stronger airtime on this ride's abundance of airtime hills. Seriously, don't sleep on Ghostrider. Knott's as a whole has a pretty solid coaster collection that doesn't have too many gaps. Of course, I'm wishing for a B&M Giga or Hyper just like everyone else, but don't know how feasible it would be. This park has speed, it has inversions, it has airtime. There's really not much else that I could think of this park needing to help fill any holes in its layout. Maybe if Ghostrider can be removed or replaced with something better, then that would help make Knott's even better. All in all, I'd highly recommend coming out to check out this park for not only the coaster collection, but also the park as a whole. Be on the lookout for a review on this park in the coming weeks. Anyways, that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, feel free to leave a like and comment below and consider subscribing. I intend on uploading more content as time goes on and as Katie and I experience more parks and coasters. You can also find daily uploads on our Instagram page at Coastermania. Soon we'll be opening an Etsy page where you'll be able to buy prints and more of some of your favorite coaster photography of ours. Thanks for watching the video, and ride on, Coaster Maniacs!